All right, good morning to you. Brooks Baptiste here, checking in from the First Alert desk on this Thursday morning. A couple of stories that we're watching for you, working on coming up at noon, and some stories that we've been staying on top of all morning long. Hopefully your Thursday is off to a great start. Been a little gloomy out there, but it's all good, and hopefully we can help you shake some of the, I know we call it Monday blues, but I'll say Thursday blues today, or just realize that tomorrow is Friday. That's all you got to know, right? All right, so let's talk about some of these stories that are making headlines right now. You know, the death of Tyre Nichol out of Memphis, that has really made national headlines this morning. And really the days to come, as he was laid to rest yesterday. Even some change is being made here at home as a result of this. And there's a story we want to talk to you about the sheriff of Fulton County discussing the Scorpion unit and the new jail. And here is what he had to say to our very own Tyre Cooper about a lot of those changes that are on board.
And I was appalled. I was taken aback at the inhumanity.
It was hard for Fulton County Sheriff Patrick Labatt to watch the Memphis Scorpion unit beat Tyre Nichol to death. His sheriff's office also has a unit patrolling communities right now.
Our Scorpion unit has done some really amazing things. We've gotten 75 weapons off the street. That's 75 guns that will not be used in a crime of passion or otherwise. And we've gotten some of our most heinous criminals, our top 10. We've arrested 21 of our top 10 most wanted criminals.
He says the main focus of the Scorpion unit in Fulton County is repeat offenders who they know are in high crime areas with warrants out for their arrest. But now he plans to review all of their cases, and he's considering a name change of the unit. The NAACP says it's not enough.
If Memphis is getting rid of the Scorpion unit, every law enforcement office in Georgia needs to do the same.
A rose is a rose no matter what you call it. So unless there's a change in training, and by training I mean not only the physical training, but the psychological training and the new policing tactics.
Tyre Cooper, Atlanta News First.
Now, of course, I think it is safe to say that this is definitely sparking a lot of conversation online as far as police being held accountable and really making sure that these don't continue to be a trend that we keep seeing all across the nation. Body cam footage definitely being one of the big reasons that the people involved in Nichol's death are actually being held accountable. You may remember there's a lot of different things that we've talked about here on Atlanta News First, and unfortunate stories that we've had to share with you as far as teen violence that has happened in our here in our community. And one of the things that is happening right now, there's a bill being pushed at our state capitol to make sure that body cams are mandatory. So basically it's called the Police Accountability Act, and it will require any officers who are here in the state to wear body cameras during any contact with the public. Now, it's just not things that we've seen in teenagers, it's things that we've seen in young adults, things that we've seen in all different types of communities right now. And this comes weeks after a state trooper killed Manuel Tehran, who was protesting the future Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. Now, State Patrol says that Tehran fired first, but in a situation like this, you get a lot of he said, she said type things, right? And here's why: because if there were no body cameras, there is no footage to back up all of those claims. So that's exactly why right now, of course, we're seeing a lot of that. And really, when you just think about how the gun violence is plaguing our community right now, is definitely happening in the streets, not just with police officers, but with people in general. So even when they're called out to these scenes to assess situations, address situations, there are a lot of things that go into effect with that. And speaking of some of the teenage violence that we have seen here in the community, I think we've seen a lot of it, and there's a big discussion right now about whether there should be an earlier curfew, should the curfew stay where it is. And Councilwoman Keisha Waits actually wants a stricter teen curfew in the city. She's saying she wants to see kids indoors by 8 p.m. instead of 11 p.m. And Mayor Andre Dickens, he doesn't seem to be going for that. Here's what he had to say about that.
I don't think 7 or 8 p.m. will work. There's too many games that occur at that time. There's too many kids that are leaving practice at that time. It's too many, and then there's a lot of room for profiling. And any kid that's standing on the corner waiting on their mother or father or what have you to come out, now you're gonna tie up all the 911 lines trying to get kids on a curfew at 7 or 8 p.m.
Now, some of you would say he brings up some pretty great points right there, and he seems very passionate about that, and making sure that the kids are doing a little bit better than maybe what we've seen in the recent weeks and the recent months. Mayor Dickens says that he is open to talking and having a discussion about a 10 p.m. curfew, but he just doesn't think 8 p.m. is going to work. So, of course, that's a story that we'll continue to stay on top of throughout the day and throughout the week, because I'm sure we'll get more developments there regarding that. All right, another story that we've got to talk about, some really terrifying moments that were all caught on camera. I'm going to play this video for you, and I think we're all going to have the same reaction. Take a look at this. This is the moment right here where a car just hits a man's bike and decides to keep on going. Yeah, this happened out in Gwinnett County. It's about to come back around. All right, take a look right here. Yeah, that car would seem to be a Honda. It looks like it just made a right turn, a sharp right turn, trying to miss the bicyclist, and in fact did hit one of them. Yeah, really hard situation to look at there right there. Now, we can tell you that this group is asking anyone with information on the driver or the car to please give Gwinnett County Police. This is out in the Swanee area, and yeah, they just are saying this is just not okay that something like this has happened. All right, another story we've got to talk about. The Grammys are coming up this weekend on Sunday. Now, if you haven't watched the Grammys in a long time, shame on you. You are missing out right now. But one moment that all eyes are on, we're talking about how the ceremony is going to be paying homage to Migos rapper Takeoff. You remember he died late last year, really unfortunate death, and really an investigation that is still going on right now behind the man who might have pulled the trigger. The Grammys announced that that ceremony is going to be honoring him with some special performances during his in memoriam segment, which they tend to do for all of the artists and all of the guests that they've lost in the last year or so. Quavo and the Maverick City Music Choir. Maverick City Music, hopefully you've heard of them. I know you know Quavo. If you know Migos, then they're going to be performing the song Without You. There's also going to be a couple of other singers that will be honored as well and remembered with Takeoff. But the Grammys air on Atlanta News First Sunday at 7 o'clock, so be sure to check that out. Now let's talk about what's coming up for you at noon today. A couple of stories, one that we brought to you as breaking news this morning on Atlantic News First. We're getting more details about this. Our very own Madeline Montgomery is in DeKalb County, and she's working on a story about how doctors were forced to deliver a child after a mother was shot. We can tell you that that mother, she pregnant at the time of that shooting when all of this unfolded, and she arrived at the hospital. The doctors were able to take her in care. She's in critical condition. They had to deliver the baby. Unclear right now how many months she was pregnant. Unclear right now. Really all of the things that led up to this moment, but we can tell you that this happened at about 5:45, this morning when police got a call that the person had been shot. Upon arrival, that's when they were able to locate that female who was pregnant, suffering from a gunshot wound. She was transported to a hospital for treatment. So our Madeline Montgomery has been out there on the scene, has been gathering some details for us today. So of course, that's a story that we're working on, some other things that we're going to be working on throughout the day. And make sure you remember that the news always continues on AtlantaNewsFirst.com and of course on the free Atlanta News First app. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, we're doing these hour cut-ins, just a couple of minutes at the top of every hour, just to make sure you know what's going on, what's happening in your neighborhood, and some of those stories that we are working on for you throughout the day. But until then, we'll see you next time.